What is the main characteristic that makes games great? If you ask a random gamer, they are more than likely to give one of two answers. And in fact, the gaming community seems to be polarized between these two camps, which are those that believe that gameplay determines how great a game is, and those that believe that it is the story that reigns supreme in this aspect. What if I told you that there is a third aspect that trumps both of these other elements in determining how lasting the impact is from a game? What makes a game truly great? Now, before you start sharpening the pitchforks to go ahead and lynch me for having a differing opinion, please hear me out. So what do Mega Man X, Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, The Last of Us, and Overwatch have in common? Well, they are all great games for sure, but if we approach them with the previous either-or mentality, we can see that Mega Man X and Overwatch, for example, have very little story, and both Ocarina of Time and The Last of Us seem to focus more heavily on story than gameplay. Yet, all four games, regardless if they are old or new, can be considered amazing in their own right, even if their actual designs are very different. But why is this? What is the specific characteristic that makes these games great, while some of their counterparts, or even doppelgangers, that have attempted to recreate their formulas are considered so lackluster? Well folks, I believe this immutable quality can be summarized in one word: vision. For game developers, vision is the overall idea and feel of the game which the developer wants to convey to the player by using its aesthetics, sound, gameplay, and story. In other words, it is the intended experience the developer is trying to present with a game. For example, if we take a game like Dark Souls, we can clearly see that the source of its greatness is its capacity to achieve the intended vision of its creator, Hidetaka Miyazaki, and how all the gameplay, story, and aesthetic elements work together to immerse us in the Dark Souls experience. Regardless of if you like Dark Souls as a game or not, it is difficult to argue that From Software succeeded in presenting us with the world Miyazaki intended us to experience, and herein lies its greatness. Now think back onto the examples we presented before: Mega Man X, Ocarina of Time, The Last of Us, and Overwatch. They all have very different visions from each one of their developers. However, I contend that all of these games are able to clearly show us the vision that the developer intended to present, and have packaged it in a way that players can easily enjoy. I believe that no game has come out this year that better exemplifies this than Cuphead. Cuphead is the brainchild of brothers Chad and Jared Moldenhauer, creators and heads of Studio MDHR. And this was the first game to come out from this studio to boot. The development of this game was certainly very bumpy, not least because of the inexperience of the studio. However, one could also argue that the uncompromising nature of the vision for this game forced the game to remain in development for longer, and achieve a higher degree of polish than if it had been tackled by a lesser studio, or if the vision of the game had been put together in a haphazard manner. Development for Cuphead started in 2010, but we did not get a whiff of what the Moldenhauer brothers were cooking until the mesmerizing title was revealed during 2014's E3. However, the game would not be released until 3 years later in 2017. According to interviews, the three-man team was developing this game during their free time, mainly in the weekends. But after E3 2015, it was apparent to the Moldenhauers that the gaming community was expecting a lot from them. This served as a catalyst, encouraging them to push themselves, as well as push the envelope with the development of this game. So, the brothers quit their jobs, remortgaged their houses, and expanded both the size of the team and the scope of the game. 2 years of bumpy development passed, and in 2017, this minuscule Canadian studio delivered us an unparalleled experience. The amazing title came loaded with amazing aesthetics that replicated 1930s Fleischer-style cartoons to a T, as well as having uncompromising difficulty and an attention to detail that is commendable, especially when one considers that it is coming from a rookie developer team. The soundtrack that accompanies this journey is no slouch either, faithfully recreating the jazzy, ragtime feel that permeated the musical landscape of that era. So, while analyzing these elements of the game, it is quite obvious the kind of game that the Molden Howers intended to present us with. And we can clearly see and feel the vision of the developers every second we play this game. Now let's think back to our duality. This game quite obviously does not have a great story behind it, and yet it is undoubtedly a great game. By the same token, there are other games that follow the opposite trend. A game like Life is Strange, revolving entirely around its story and storytelling experience, stands also as a great game, mainly due to its capability to achieve the vision of its developer, regardless of its arguably lackluster gameplay. As such, I would say that the vision of the developer trumps both of the characteristics we mentioned before, and usually uses them to enhance or detract from the experience the creator had in its mind. So if you ever find yourself wanting to know if an unreleased game will make a splash, or if a recently released video game will perdure in the gaming landscape, don't just look at the gameplay or the story. Think about the vision the developer has for that game, and how the other two elements come together to bring that vision to life. You will be surprised at the level of insight that this method can provide when one analyzes a game. But let me know what you guys think. Am I completely wrong with this? Am I bonkers and vision is just this pipe dream that I had? Let me know which one you think is more important, gameplay or story. As always, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up, it helps a lot. And if you like this kind of content, consider subscribing to the channel. I upload quite frequently. You guys have a great day. This is Cheps, and I will see you soon.